Yeah, I couldn't stay humble. Too many flashing lights inside of this beyond jungle. And I gain a bit of shine, but that too will crumble. And as this life gets wild, I always keep a little fun of us Satoshi. Stack them like I used to stack snow records. Never so messy. I place the time and energy in a place where they can't inflate. And when my work's to erase their attempts to erase it. They froze my bank account, but they couldn't touch my private keys. Trying hard, this is silence to me. But I stay behind the shield as a Satoshi. Stand firm and allow the truth to approach me. I used to chase these paper gains and fame, but as the time went on, my time preference changed. I don't need a fake love from all that is fleeting. So I opted to a new system that I obsoleted. I've been trying to make you love me. But everything I tried to say you were. Once again, I let go of everything that I know. Yeah, of everything that I know. Yeah, and nothing hurts anymore. I feel kind of free. Which is free. Yeah, I put my hand on the floor to see if I still feel it. And nothing hurts anymore. I feel kind of free. Wish it could be. Yeah, I put my hand on the floor to see if I still feel it. And nothing hurts anymore. I feel kind of free.
Are we at the dentist office, Lauren?
Hey, buddy, just relax and enjoy Real Richard, everybody. Real Richard. Little applause for Real Richard. Yes, we are. How did you know? Coming
I
to
don't
you
know that
live from.
I just heard tunes. I think it wasn't clear enough to hear any of the words, so I just thought I was
I just
waiting
think
to
the
get
words
my
may have been blurred.
some
It's
teeth
the artistic.
fillings or get my teeth cleaned.
It sounded like Ghost Town. I think whatever that song was, Kanye sampled on Ghost Town.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I think that's it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Real Richard. Check him out, everybody. And one of the many great Bitcoin DJs out there. Shout out to those guys. Hey, there's not many people in here, and I don't think like I was looking around, and there's not a ton
It's
of
about quality, Lauren. It's not quantity. The quality people are
true,
here right now.
true Shay. That's
Yeah, we
half
got Pink
true and
Shirt in
half
here.
touche.
That's all the quality we need.
Yeah,
That
we
is
got
it.
Gen X. Yeah, I see
PSG.
lots of. Yeah.
What's up, PSG?
Sup, homies? Love you
Homies.
all. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Jesus is the King. Happy Good Friday
Amen.
tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
I heard news that maybe Larry Lepard might be on here today. I'm going to try to not fanboy out
Tomorrow.
too much.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, isn't today Friday?
It is
Today,
in some places, but not
Thirsty
here.
Thursday, sir.
Well, this is
Thirsty.
Canada.
Oh, yeah, eh? So it's a day ahead,
Australia,
eh?
it's Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, close. Part of the Commonwealth.
Either way,
Hey.
Jesus still loves you, and so do I.
Aw, that's sweet, buddy. We love you too. Um, we before we came on, we might as well just talk about this since there's hardly anybody in the room, and we were hashing ideas. One idea was how to keep our time slot going while we're in Vegas, and we had differing ideas, and so I think we're going to end up fighting in a cage match to figure out whose idea we're going to run with. Uh, Therefore, Cosmo wins. We default we default to Cosmo. Now we're thinking of doing. Obviously, we want to keep the slot alive, so we want to keep the 8:30 thing. But there may be other things going on. But it might be kind of fun if folks that listen to the show want to come and like hang out, and if you want to do the show in real life or just even stop in and try to find one of us. Terrence and Cosmo will be at the event. I don't know what the hours are and stuff, but I will not be. So whether you want to just track one of us down, they'll be on the scene reporting live, probably in and out, depending on their schedules. We're not making any commitments because we don't want to try to force anything. One of the nice things about this space is it's just kind of organically grown and we've kind of just let it go wherever. So we're not going to have a desk probably because although that idea was proposed. But yeah, it'd be kind of fun if we could just roll something and whoever wanted to just jump on wherever you were, or even meet and talk in real life, even on one phone, whatever, would be kind of fun. But we'll just kind of let that hash out. So give us some feedback too if you're interested in doing something like that. Shoot one of us a DM. That kind of sounds fun. And then we're also this party that we're having, hosted by Eric. Thanks, Eric. We're trying to figure out how we're not
Eric
going to
Rice.
Eric Rice, everybody, not Eric Yates or Eric anyone else. We're trying to figure out how to avoid issues like Anders had with his first pleb party, where we had to turn a bunch of people away. Obviously,
Are you saying you're Anders, Lauren?
I am not saying that I am Anders in any way, shape, or form. What I am saying is we want to make sure that the loyal listeners are able to get in, and then if there's some overflow, we want to make sure, you guys who listen all the time definitely get in. But then if some stragglers try to come in later. So we're working on ideas about that. One of the ideas I proposed was whoever from this group wants to make sure they get in, like hit up one of us, and maybe what we'll do is like have a different start time, like start half an hour earlier or just something. We're trying to figure it out where it's going to be super easy because we don't want to have to work and have somebody at the door and blah 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 blah. So the easiest way to make sure everybody gets in is something that we're working on. So hit us up with feedback, DM any of us if you're interested in coming to this event, etc. So these are just things we're trying to work out in the back channels here.
Hey, Lauren, I'm
Yeah.
sorry I joined late. I didn't get the skinny. Do you have a date and a place set for this event?
We our sponsor is actually working on all that stuff. So he said he would have it done by Saturday. So we should start announcing things next week. But we just wanted to be careful how we did it. Just to make sure we get, the loyal followers, the fraternity bros and amigas all in there without, because we don't know what to expect. And like I said, I think there's been issues with other pleb parties where we hit capacity and whatnot. So we're just trying to make sure we don't have to do too much, but can just spend time hanging out, having a great time, and not have somebody at the door checking a ticket or anything. So just stuff we're trying to work out behind the scenes. So we'll let people know next week more about that. And also, there's so many things going on. I think it's going to be tricky to balance everything because it's kind of like Terrence was talking about. It's like, yeah, I was trying to hit everything at some of these other events, ended up, at an event for 15 minutes and had a, $200 soda water. So we don't want to have those kind of scenarios either. So
Well, wait. So, two questions for you, Lauren. So, first on the party thing, there are no tickets
party.
or
No,
cost, right?
right.
Like
Yeah.
everyone's just invited. Okay.
Well,
And
I think his
no,
deal is he's gonna find the space, and then he's gonna put X number of dollars down for a bar tab. So, I would imagine that in that scenario, it's gonna be like the first X number of people, especially in Vegas, because drinks are like 4 times normal. That
right? But
bar
I mean,
tab should
everyone
get.
can get in,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're not gonna be paying like it's not gonna be like an Anders party where you pay X amount of dollars just to get in the door.
even if it
That
says .eth in your profile.
No, then you'll actually be turned away. So that's why it's important to reach out to Terrence. Terrence is handling all the
We're
ticketing
gonna
and
charge you to turn you away.
yes, charge you $100 and then turn you away.
Daddy need free drinks. Trust me, they're
Puncher,
suffering.
what's up, Kevin?
Hello, man. Sorry,
Wait, who's
I'm
Kevin? I see Puncher. What the heck is going on?
He's the little baby sitting
I'm
on the
being I'm being
toilet reading the newspaper.
I'm being doxxed in real time by Lauren.
Okay, but Lauren, so the other thing, you were talking about trying to continue spaces during Vegas
No,
week.
we're not gonna try, baby. You're the man, the producer, the Hollywood uh, guru that says this is all about time slots, baby. So we want to make sure we keep this time slot. And I think there's a lot of reasons to do it. A is you told us to. B is it would be fun to interact with people live that are there. And C, it's also fun if people that can't attend still will be able to feel a part through their fraternal group of brothers and everybody that's there in the form of us. So it'd be like jump up and if we find somebody cool to talk to while we're hosting a space, because we probably won't be in the same place. Like I said, I don't have a ticket to the event even, so I'll be roaming around in a lobby
But
or
so
just
just
kind of.
to be clear, so you
Yes.
want all of us to go to Vegas, whoever's in the audience here, everyone to go to Vegas, and then when we get there, rather
Terrence,
than
it's
meet in
not
real
about what
life, we're
I
going to stay
want.
in our hotel rooms and get on
Yeah.
spaces. Okay,
Oh,
I
just
just want to be clear what you're.
why do you have to stay in your hotel room? It'd be way more fun if you were out like live on the scene and just interacting with people and
I can't interact with people if I have to be on this space pushing
what.
little buttons with
I'm sorry
icons.
if you're too old to multitask, sir. Call you daddy for a reason. No, I mean, I might be at a poker table. I might be wandering around in slot machines and the, irritating ding, 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 ding of people losing their money. Who knows? I mean, I think it's just one of those things where the ethos of this show has been organic, and so if I just don't want to not do it. I mean, I'll pop open spaces, and then whoever wants to jump in, and it just might be fun. And we could also play a game of scavenger hunt. It's like, hey, who can find Terrence? He's live over in the Venetian somewhere. So who knows? I just think it would be fun. So maybe some feedback. Maybe this is kind of like a poll where it's like, what do you guys think? Because I also liked it when I couldn't go to events and then people were doing live reporting and stuff from there. So I think it could be fun.
I think whatever you decide to do, you just have to make sure there's a whale pass and then charge like $18,000 for it. That's important.
Pink shirt guy will be there. See, so pink shirt guy can come hang with me for a bit, or I can
Well,
go hang
Eric
with him.
Rice is
And
here now, so
there he is.
we
Hey,
can
buddy.
ask him. I invited him up, but
Okay. Eric, we were trying to, while the room was filling up, we were just kind of doing a little housekeeping, trying to do some. One of the problems, Eric, in the past with certain pleb events was we hit capacity at some rooms, and so people were turned away. So we were just trying to find an easy way where we didn't have to have somebody posted at the door or work too much in order to ensure that the core group of listeners got in. So one of the ideas kicked around was whoever contacted us, maybe we start the event like, X amount early for those people just to make sure they got different info than just the vast people just showing up. So maybe that way it's like, hey, if you want to attend, if you're here by such and such, you'll probably get first wax at that, $1,000 bar tab or whatever. Plus, you'll make sure you don't get turned away due to capacity or anything. We were just trying to find an easy way so we wouldn't have to go do ticketing or have somebody at the door, etc. So I don't know if anybody else has thoughts, but Eric, it's good to see you're up here.
Hey guys, yeah, no, I wasn't planning on ticketing or pre-registering or anything. I'm literally just trying to find a nice, decently quiet place for us to be able to say, all you've got to do is come in and say, I'm on Bitcoin X, and you should be good. Like, no formalities or anything. $1,000 is a lot of money on booze. I don't know how it goes in
Not
Vegas,
in
but
Vegas, it's not.
no, yeah, it's probably like $30 a drink if you're not gambling.
Yep.
I don't drink, so you guys have my bar tab. You'll have that all day. But yeah, no, just something simple, guys. We're not looking to make it formal, and it's free. It's completely free. What we're trying to do is just put faces behind, avatars and meet each other and have great conversations. That's it.
what's the face behind your avatar, Eric?
Oh, it's hideous. You don't want to see it, man.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Matt's face reveal the other day is giving me FOMO. I'm gonna have to come out and dox myself at some point.
Yes,
I
you
can't wait
are.
to see Lauren because I still remember the picture you had of the guy
The
from
big
the
fat guy.
BIS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's me. Yeah, it's funny.
Hey, Lauren,
Yes, sir.
I think it's a pretty good idea, as crazy as it sounds, that everybody just shows up physically. And then if anybody wants to step outside in a quieter area to jump on and off the space, and we can just, obviously, we're going to have a host because that bug has not been fixed. That if the
And
host drops, the co-hosts
yeah,
can't pick up.
and
However,
pants are
we can,
optional.
we can keep adding co-hosts and people jumping in and jumping in and out. I think it might actually work out pretty well.
Yeah, no, I like that idea as well. Mav, you're in, buddy. Mav, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes,
I missed some of what you guys just said about Vegas, but Lauren, were you at
Vegas.
Bitblock Boom?
I was not. Were you
Uh,
there?
I was.
Nice.
In fact, Terrence, I actually met with Eric from the Pacific Northwest. He was telling me about like an upcoming event. I think I don't know if it was August or something that you guys are putting together. So that was cool. I met him and his wife, and I met a bunch of people actually, but I don't know if I met much of you guys here on stage or anything. But I'm looking
We'll
forward to
see you in
Vegas.
Vegas, buddy. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
definitely. I'll be
You're
there
in.
Monday. I'm going to
Sweet.
Mandrick's like Fogo de Chao meetup thing. I booked that for Monday. But do we have anything already locked in for that week that you guys are talking about?
Eric is working on it, and he said he should have it locked in this weekend, and so we'll be able to announce more info next week.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'll be there till Sunday, so that'll be a good time.
Yeah, I would say we should have a place locked in on Saturday, but we should probably announce it on Monday. I'm trying to book the middle. I think it's, what is it, the 25th, 6th, 7th, and then it extends to the 8th. So I'm trying to book the 26th on that date. So if that makes sense for you guys, that seems to be a day where I don't have a whole lot of scheduled meetups or anything like that.
Did you have a time frame in mind at all?
I didn't. I asked that in one of our chats. No one responded to it, but I'm thinking maybe like 6 o'clock, 6:30, somewhere around there. Or if you guys want to do it later,
Hey, AM, let's go. Let's get it going on. AM.
Yeah,
Six
that's
thirty
the
a.m. Yeah.
26th
AM.
is Memorial Day, right?
Oh, we want to do. You guys
Yeah.
want to do an AM? I can do that. We can figure that out.
I don't think we should really be drinking before noon, though.
Yeah, that's actually a good topic. What time? Maybe in the chat thread for anyone who wants to come and meet up. Like, what
What day
time would
did
be
you say?
best?
Did you say the 26th? Is that
I
Monday?
love joining these spaces where everyone just
I'll
tries to organize their calendars. It's very exciting.
I'll throw a poll in the comments for
Okay,
we'll
that's
do
a
Monday,
brilliant idea.
Tuesday, or Wednesday or
Can
Thursday.
we not do Monday? I switched. No, I come in on Tuesday.
I come in on
Yeah.
Tuesday too, which is
Okay. Oh, that's right.
yeah.
We're gonna
Have you
take an
guys heard
Uber
of these
together.
Let's do
DM
Tuesday.
groups where everyone gets together and then figures out dates?
Yeah, but we're just Terrence, buddy, relax. We're letting the room fill up. Come on now.
As a strategic planner, this is not a highly effective
The
method of
strategic
coming up with a strategic.
Bitcoin party
This
planning.
is pure comedy. It's highly enjoyable.
Okay, yeah. No, and there a lot of people were coming in after we actually talked about, and that's what Puncher was addressing, aka Kevin Kelly, who I'm doxing again, doing Spaces live in the regular time slot. For those not going, I think it might be enjoyable for you guys, for a few of us to be running around hosting spaces, and then for those of you who are going to be there, come and try to find one of us, and we can hang out in real life wherever we may be, just wandering around. So that's also another thing. Hit any of us up just to give us your feedback, because these are just raw ideas that we're not agreeing on right now. So yeah, just thoughts. We'll try to make them more concrete here within the next week or so.
Here's a thought and a life lesson
Let's hear it.
as well. Never, everybody's going to try to run around and see and do everything in Vegas, which is not possible and leads to anxiety and not a good time. So, as a general rule in life, I think it's rule number 2: never leave a good time in search of a good time.
So what you're saying is you and I are going to just be hanging out the whole time, just till the wee hours of the morning?
I got a room at the Flamingo, buddy. It's $119. I'm scared to think about what it looks like, but you're always welcome.
That's great advice, Puncher. I mean, I think all of us have been to so many events where, it seems like the grass is greener and you're at a place and you're like, okay, now that I'm here, now that I've seen the room and I've had a drink, oh man, what am I missing? Where else do I need to go? And then you spend most of your time just trekking across town from place to place. And I did this for years, going to film festivals like Sundance and Cannes and whatnot. And I look back and I'm like, damn it, why didn't I just stay at the one good thing that I found and have quality time with people? But you just keep thinking, I need to hit everything. I need to nail everything. I need to touch everything. And it's like, no, you don't. You just have low quality, low vibes in exchange for quality. So yeah, that's great advice. It was nice hearing that.
Yeah, seek
Rule number 3,
serendipity.
rule number 3 is shots are always a bad idea.
I like rule number 3. Now, there's a poker analogy in there too, where if you go to a place like Vegas and you're sitting down at a poker table at the Venetian, let's say, you stand up and just gaze around the room, and you're just like, oh, I want to be at that table. Oh, that guy. Oh, and but really, you can only play at the table you're at, and it's similar to like even the local meetups that I attend, where there could be 20 plus people there, but you really can only get quality conversations in with the people within earshot around you. So actually, that's another reason I really love these spaces, because it's a lot easier to interact with a lot more people in these kinds of environments, just because it's like there's tables in the way, or there's loud noises, or there's other things that it prohibits you from actually communicating and networking with a lot of people. So I totally sign off on what these boys are saying as well, but that being said, I still want to meet as many people as humanly possible.
Luckily, there were only 2 poker tables at BitBlock Boom to really crowd around.
I love it.
Last rule, rule number 4. How do you know a bet in Vegas is a bad bet? They're offering it to you.
It's a good point.
Mhm.
Pink Shirt Guy, chime in, buddy. You're being so
Yeah,
polite,
just
raising your hand.
focus on the humans. We've all been to Vegas before, probably I'll go back again at some point. But it's really exciting to think about hanging out with you guys. I'd follow you to Boise, Idaho, if I had to. So that's one thing. And then also Cosmo. I don't know how these polls really work, but is there an option to do like a first choice, second choice thing, just so that we're not dividing the vote for people who like might pick Tuesday or Wednesday, or like Wednesday or Thursday, or if they're indifferent to one or the other? Is there like
No.
no way to
Yeah,
do that?
unfortunately, it's just like one selection on Twitter. I mean, I could open up like a Google poll if, people
Nah,
want to do that, but
we'll get Puncher to do the organization. He knows how to do that.
Punchy.
our
Yeah.
strategist logistics here.
Love it. Just send feedback too. I mean, these 2 guys are really good at responding to DMs. At least they respond to mine periodically. So shoot DMs if you do have feedback, better ideas, whatever else. If you're interested in hanging out during any of the spaces, whatever it is, feedback is always welcome. Please.
Did everyone file their taxes or file an extension? I did not, by the way. So just curious.
Did not.
Yeah, I filed it. They just took my money now.
Wait, I want to hear the argument for
It's
not
funny, you
filing.
file the extension, but you still gotta pay, even though you file the extension.
I lost my extension in a boating accident.
Terrence,
Hey, they
why?
fired like 40,000 IRS agents. So what are the odds of them actually coming after you? I mean, I think it's a pretty good bet to just not pay.
I like the way you
Roll the
think.
dice.
I like the way you think, Kevin Kelly.
No, I usually file on time, but sometimes like K1s or something from investments come in late, so I have to extend. But this year I just happened to be, because I'm close to the LA fires, I happen to be in a zone where we don't have to file until the 15th. We have an automatic extension both on payment and extending without having to do anything. So it's just going to end up benefiting me because I am waiting for some K1s.
Thanks a lot, Terrence. Terrence just took a really exciting time and just threw a bucket of cold water on it. Let's go from, ooh, we're going to go to Vegas and we're all going to meet and party. We're going to drink Cosmos for Cosmonaut. And now it's whoosh, taxation is theft.
Oh yeah, cosmonaut drinks. What
I'm
what
gonna
would
I'm
what?
gonna have
Oh, and
one.
then puncher. There's obviously some kind of punch drink. What's the Lauren drink?
Yeah,
Lauren,
everyone has to build their own
The
cocktail
lime
here.
Lorenzo lime. Yeah.
the Lorenzo Lime. Yeah. No, Lauren's been trying to cut back because I've gone through a few phases. I've never been an alcoholic, but I've definitely enjoyed drinking. So I shall fall off the wagon definitely during Vegas and drink with you guys. So I'm looking forward to having a Cosmo.
All right. So what's on the docket today, Mr.
You
Host
know,
Man?
I actually wrote some things down which I normally don't do. I was curious. I was hoping Dark would be in here. I see Joe's in here, so maybe it's a good thing he's
Bitcoin is
not.
for everyone. Yeah, I invited Joe up. He might be busy,
Terrence,
but
you asked me a question and now you're interrupting me.
well, I
I'm
didn't
gonna
like it.
get
I
the
got
belt out.
bored. I got
Yeah,
bored of your answer, so I saw Bitcoin
my
is for everyone has their hand
I
up. So
but it but
Our
uh
parents are
let
fighting
me
everyone.
let me let me just read some things. I was curious about the MSTY space yesterday. I saw 6 trillion and our debt was maturing in the next month. I know what Joe has to say about that. Oh, we did cover that. BTC Archive. Oh, this is actually old news, but for some reason it's being released. I've been reading it a lot lately about multiple countries looking to establish SBRs. That is actually from 2024, but I've been reading it today as if it was just released yesterday. Did a little deep dive on it, and it basically was like Financial Times talking with the CEO of Binance. So he claimed back in 2024 that lots of countries were coming to him and they were trying to figure out their own SBRs. That's old news, but it is popping out. $10 billion Japanese company ANAP bought Bitcoin for its treasury, according to Pete Rizzo. And of course, the news about Trump calling for Uncle Jerry's resignation was hitting the wires as well today. Um, there's also
That is
chatter
so
around.
stupid, by the way. But yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll just get through this, and then maybe whatever we do and don't want to hash out throughout the next hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it is. Bitcoin price. People are talking about potential manipulation and whatnot. I know what Joe thinks about that too. Record gold price also hitting. There's been chatter about rate cuts, so I'll just shut up about that. But those are things that I wrote down because it seems like I just scroll through, X and read some headlines and whatnot, and that's kind of been the chatter lately. So with that, I'll shut up and turn it back to Terrence, who can go to hands, I
It's
guess.
like Lauren has the closed caption on as he's thinking. We hear every single thing he's thinking. Oh, I was
Well,
just reading some
you
old news. Oh,
know,
that's old news. What was the old news I
Terrence,
read? Here's the old news
yeah,
I
yeah.
read.
You know what's funny though is like that's kind of these spaces. Like that's kind of how they became. Like there was no forethought, no planning, no whatever. It's just like, oh, we'll just jump on a space,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
the
like
beginning of the end of
yeah,
the
10 months
space.
later, or yeah, a year later, we're just we're still here. Oh, we're all friends. Nice. Let's talk about stuff. Okay, I'll shut up.
All right, let's go to Bitcoin is for everyone. I see a yellow hand up.
Good morning, y'all. Sorry, I
Morning.
just popped in late. Was doing dropping off my kids, but I heard Vegas, and
Vegas.
I want to learn more about what you guys have planned. I grew up in Vegas, and so if I can be of any help, I definitely want to participate. But very excited for hanging out with y'all.
Yeah, that's great. I think Lauren is from there as well.
Well, he said he grew up in Vegas. I think Vegas grew me up, so it's a little bit different.
I lived
I
there for
bet.
a year, but I didn't grow up there. Just I was doing a TV show there and lived in the Palms Hotel, so that was very fun.
Thanks for showing
It's
photos
fun.
from there, sir. That was
Yes.
enjoyable for me.
Were you guys thinking of doing it like at the Venetian?
Did we lose Eric? Is he still
Yeah,
here?
we lost Eric. Yeah,
Or the flamingo.
you're coming in a little late, Eddie, but we hope to have more information later. If you know anything, we should connect you with Eric Rice. He's looking. He doesn't know, but his company is going to sponsor the first $1,000 of drinks there and just have a space. It sounds like it's going to be pretty informal. There's nothing set in stone yet, but
Parents,
if
I
you
think he's going to
what?
be, I think he'll be surprised at how difficult it is to actually try to procure an entire space and give and have like drinks and, spend $1,000. I think he's going to be like, what? He'll be shocked. Because I was talking to some of the local Vegas guys who may be listening now or not, and they were like, oh, you can go here and have tables and blah, blah, blah. Like they've kind of
You have
got
to
it
go on the
down.
outskirts. You have to go
Yeah.
downtown, down by the Stratosphere, and
Hmm.
then over sort of in the
Scream up.
industrial area. And there's
Yeah.
some cool bars there. Yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
He'll
I mean,
figure it out.
I agree. I agree with that sentiment. It's definitely tough, especially on the strip. But outside the strip, like in the outskirts, there's some cool spots like nearby Chinatown. That's like not terribly far, like a 10-minute Uber. But I'll if you guys can connect me, I'd love to chat with him and try to help out.
Tao said he wants it in Chinatown. He just DM'd me.
Yeah, I would suggest working with some of these guys too. I've been talking to them in back channels, but I'm like Terrence. I didn't want to have to put a ton of legwork in personally, nor worry about ticketing or having a bouncer, blah 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 blah. So I was hoping that it could be organic and easy and a sponsor. So I was hoping Eric could figure it out, but we shall see. I think he'll realize it's maybe a little harder than it appears, especially in Vegas, because $1,000 is going to get eaten really quick in a bar tab in Vegas. I know personally. I used to just go out to clubs after poker and whatnot, and it's not cheap.
Yeah, I was just in Vegas twice already. in the past 6 months, and
Is that
the
because of poker, Tao? Because I know you play.
yeah.
Oh.
No, I love poker. I played with Joe actually poker in Nashville for the conference. That was a really good event. But yeah, you go, you play poker, and that's a couple hundred at least. If you get a drink here and there, so it goes up really fast. And especially if you want to get nice hotels, you don't want to stay at the Treasure Island. Those rooms go for
Hey, I have
Flamingo.
a bunch of friends staying over there. They said it's gonna be nice.
Oh, Ti, no.
no, yeah.
Flamingo, baby. Let's go, Kevin.
No,
I know,
no. You
I'm being
guys cannot
sarcastic.
go. Bitcoiners cannot go to those. I mean, maybe I guess if they want to, but no. You want to stay at the nice places at Palazzo, especially right next to the Venetian. I mean, in the Venetian and Encore, where you can just walk across the street. It's so close, right? So I would recommend if you can pay for it to stay at the Encore or Win. And I mean, right there, Venetia's right there. So I would do that, or just stay at the Palazzo Venetian directly. Unfortunately, I can't make it. I was so excited. I actually bought my tickets. In the summer, I bought my tickets for the Vegas event, but I can't make it because it's during school week in the middle of the week. But I'm very interested in the poker tournament on that Friday with Unconfiscatable. So I don't know if anybody is going to that poker event.
So we don't have to worry about going to Chinatown for the event for the party now. Unconfiscatable is like right after. Am I correct? Is it right after
Correct.
the?
It's on
Okay,
Friday the 30th.
yeah.
So it's really fun. Like, 'cause I played at the Unconfiscatable conference. I think it was a year or two back at poker, and it was really really fun. I made fourth place out of 50 players. I should have won first place actually. It's just you win some and you lose some. You get lucky sometimes and you don't get lucky, but yeah, it's really fun, and that's why. And you win a lot of Bitcoin if you win. So it's I play with Thomas too. Thomas was at Nashville, so I play with Joe and Thomas in this little like alley poker area. It was really really fun. So yeah, if you're into poker, I would recommend joining the tournament on Confiscatable.
Is that like a 10 Bitcoin minimum, Tao? Is that the one you were telling me
It's 1
about when
million
I saw
stats.
you in person? Yeah.
No, 1 million stats buy-in for the conference.
One thing about Vegas too, if we want to get a group to play poker, we can just go jump in a live game, and we can, for the most part, all get set at one table. So it's not a big deal. I used to do just random like guys trips there too, where we would just sit at a same table. So we always have that option as well. No biggie if we want to squeeze in a poker game.
How's it going, Thomas?
Good. I was just finished up a meeting, so I jumped in here. Yeah, I mean, playing poker is a great social time. I like doing it. And as Lauren mentioned, if you go to the casino host, the poker room, if they have available table and dealers, they'll accommodate you but if you don't fill the table up, they'll open it up to the public. But if you fill the table up, they'll be happy to let you do that. But we played in a cash game in Nashville. Uh, I forget exactly. I think Don Bay was actually the host of the event at a place that he had. Joe was there. Tao was there. Giovanni came in.
Yeah, that upstairs place in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had two tables and they had two professional dealers. And it was a lot of fun. Just hanging out with everybody and getting, it's one thing we talk all the time on these spaces, but when you get into like sort of a social thing, you talk about like normal thing, just different things, and it's it creates a little bit different bond between the people who are talking a lot on these spaces when you get to see them face to face and talk about what I'll call normal things.
Yeah, can I just share a story during that time, because I was just
No, We do
No,
not share
it's very
stories on these
funny. It's
spaces.
very,
No, I'm
it's
kidding.
very,
Yeah,
it's
please
very,
feel free.
yeah, it's very funny because I was sitting next to this guy. I forgot his name. Sorry about that. But he was some other lawyer,
He
and
must have
we
really left
like,
a mark on you if you
yeah.
don't even remember his name. Was
No, no,
it
it was an
Joe
interesting story.
Carlosare?
The story was
Okay.
so compelling, and so I remember it all the time. And I tell the story many times. So we're sitting next to each other, playing poker and just chit chatting. And I asked him, hey, so how to get into Bitcoin, this and that. And then there was a story he told me where he said he had this couch in his living room, and his wife one day would walk by and just say, we need to get rid of this couch because this couch is so old, right? It's been like more than 10 years, and so get rid of it. And he said, no, we're never going to get rid of this couch. And the reason why we're never getting rid of this couch is because this couch is about $400,000 couch. And the reason why he says that was because he bought it with Bitcoin back in the day. And he spent so much Bitcoin, of course, to these days. And he said, we're not going to get rid of it. At most, he'll put it in the garage. He'll put it somewhere where he can see it because it was a reminder to him to huddle his Bitcoin. Because every time now he walks by it, he keeps on thinking, man, how much of, purchasing power I can have now. If only that Bitcoin, I was not so, high time preference and didn't buy that couch. So I thought it was a really funny story. Like he keeps this thing as a sort of like a memory to keep him, from selling his Bitcoin. So yeah, that was the story.
I think Pubby and Tao went to the same storytelling seminars.
You're saying they have a knack, or another thing that Joe C went and watched in person yesterday was Uncle Jerome's comments live. So it's kind of interesting. Probably not something that I would put up at the top of my to-do list, but also another interesting thing we can talk about today. Is any of the things off the list that I read trigger anybody to want to speak about any of that stuff?
Yeah, I'm actually curious if someone could summarize the space last night because I know that there was a big one. It was like
Yeah,
a
I was curious too.
6-hour space on um, yield or generating income.
MSTY and
Yeah.
that was I
Was
popped
anybody
in
in
just
there?
for a bit. I think Terrence was in for a bit too. When I hopped in there, Terrence was in there.
I was there just for the first hour. It went for like 5.5 hours, it looks like, and I think it dovetailed from MSTY and master conversation into bit bonds. But it
Huh.
was good for me. If I mean, I'll just give you my perspective. It was good for me just because I
Was it
am a
good for
bit.
you?
It was good for me. Yes,
Oh,
thank
good.
you.
I'm glad it was good for you.
Thanks, Daddy.
Yeah, you
Um,
betcha.
yeah. I am a Bitcoiner only. I don't trade at all. I've done plenty of that in the past, and that's partially why I'm at Bitcoin because it is very peaceful for me. But sure, I'm human and I'm interested and I want to learn, and especially when something is doing well or everyone's talking about it, or a lot of Bitcoiners are talking about something, I'm curious. So I mostly wanted to learn why people would sell any Bitcoin to buy some synthetic product that to me seems risky to try to earn some income. And the argument that I heard was that, well, as a Bitcoiner, you're saving and, your assets appreciating, but, there's no cash flow. Well, I have a huge issue with that in the first place. I think cash flow is just a sort of a rebrand of a different type of appreciation. And, you can always sell off some of your Bitcoin and capital gains are way less than income taxes anyways. But so some people are like, well, I'm not going to sell. I want to have income, yet they're selling their Bitcoin to get this very risky ETF. Now it's been working for some. I don't think it's been around much, but from what I was hearing, people that were chiming in were talking about, how much in dividends they're getting per month. Of course, they have to pay taxes on that and whatnot. And so it sounds attractive on the surface, but it's also based on the volatility, my understanding is it's based on the volatility because the professionals are basically um, trading options and calls and puts, and I may be saying this incorrectly, but they're basically trading on the volatility for you so that you don't have to try to figure that out yourself, because you probably could, if you're talented and versed in that area, you probably can do much better as a trader, but that requires a lot of attention. So it was
Hey,
all based on a British hodl who had a big post that went viral, talking about he had a friend or a client who had 4 million in Bitcoin and he took 10% of that. He sold 400,000 of it to get Misty, MSTY. And so people wanted to talk about that. And there were people on both sides of it. And so,
hey,
I
can
don't
I
know.
PSG, are you able to speak at all? Because I was curious to hear your thoughts. That's you, pink shirt guy. I was curious of PSG just because of what he does for a fiat job. It looks like he's probably doing it right now and can't talk. Hey, buddy.
I just caught the last of what you said. Are you talking
Oh,
about MSTY?
yeah. I don't know if you heard any of the Space Dark hosted, but maybe context just what you do for a living, fiat job, and then your thoughts on the whole MSTY and whatnot.
Well, wait, and real quick, just before we go there, let me just finish up
Oh,
based on
what?
what,
You weren't done? Oh my
no,
God,
no, Daddy was interrupting. So,
Daddy. Jeez.
um, again, I'm not versed in this, and I'm sure there are very talented and smart people who can figure this out. But for me, it just makes more sense to hold Bitcoin and let Bitcoin appreciate, and you can spend or sell what you need to when you need to. I just feel like this is risky, and I worry that a lot of people are going to get wrecked that don't understand the product. That's my only concern. But kudos to those who can figure it out.
Are you done now? Pink shirt
I'm,
guy.
Yeah, I was in and out of it a little bit yesterday, and basically the summary is you have to know what it is and
Hey,
what
pink
the
shirt
tool
guy.
is.
There's a
Yo,
ton of people that listening that don't know what you do. Just
PSG was
oh,
talking.
I'm sorry, I know, but I think context is cool here because I would consider him an expert
What's
in a
cool
lot
is
of
when the
ways.
expert talks and you shut your trap. That big hole below your nose, close it.
I didn't know you were the expert,
hey,
sir.
mommy and daddy are not supposed to fight in front of the
Okay,
kids.
that's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
That's
guys,
that's
you're
true.
hurting my
that
feelings.
Touche.
that's rule one. Stable home, stable home.
I think that's rule 5 actually. Weren't you here when Puncher was giving? I
He
think he's
stopped at
already
rule 4 and he lost
okay.
me there because he was talking about what time of day you can start drinking, and I just glazed over at that point.
Yeah,
Okay, and we're
really.
back. Pink shirt.
Okay, here we go. So I'm CEO and owner of a pretty large TradFi business in Canada, British Columbia. We have about 5,000 clients and run a pretty big AUA book of business. And our whole thing is actually being financial advisors who add value to clients. So you don't just do your insurance and invest your money. We look at the tax planning, different tax advantaged accounts, corporations, trusts, blah blah blah, all that stuff, and how they relate to each other to sort of maximize return on a tax adjusted basis, risk adjusted basis, and then return to the investor income when it's time to sort of retire, and everything leading up to that point. So that's me. That's who I am. The space yesterday, I was in and out of it a little bit, and the summary really is it's a tool that you have to understand what it's for and why you would use it. Part of the concern, I think, the sentiment was that people are looking at it as if it's risk free, or maybe some of the tweets that have been made were suggesting that this was just like a light switch. You could just turn it off or you could just turn it on. And just really appreciating the idea that it is not risk free. You have to know what the instrument is and why you'd use it. As far as a justification for why you might sell some Bitcoin, and the scenario they painted was somebody with 4 million in Bitcoin selling 10%, 400K, put it in an MSTY and create twice the income they were currently making. And it kind of got back and forth between, of course, never sell your Bitcoin. If you need to transact, just use the spot Bitcoin itself, all the way to, yeah, but you know what? If you're willing to part with 10% of your stack to create that consistency, or that known quantity, and take it from a variable to a known, then potentially you could actually do a better job of protecting the other 90% of your stack because your income is secured. So this idea that you might be de-risking yourself by selling a little bit off the top instead of running your Bitcoin at max. I'll pause there.
Yeah, I could jump in really quick and just elaborate a little more on the.
Oh yeah, Teef, you were there. Yeah, that would be great to hear from you. Thank you.
Yeah, this model, I think, it's a net bullish model, but and I have, a lot of experience in TradFi. I have a software company that develops and licenses trading software for high net worth individuals, and I've been in the options market for over a decade. And to me, I have a lot of questions surrounding this model. We were talking about that a little bit on the call yesterday, but it's not clear to me exactly how they're utilizing the options market to generate this yield. I'm sure there's a lot of smart people behind the helm doing this. But again, the difference between Bitcoin and a product like this comes down to trust. With regard to Bitcoin, you don't need to trust it because it's built on a decentralized code base that's open source. And if anybody ever tries to change the code and the rules, then they will get slashed because the Bitcoin network just won't accept that. So you don't have to trust Bitcoin, which is the beautiful thing about it. But with a product like this, I find that I am in the dark with regard to how the model actually works and how they're able to generate that yield. And it requires more trust than I'm really willing to give. And I would prefer rather to just own MicroStrategy stock and equities outright and then play the options market around MicroStrategy and pretty much replicate or um, what
Hey,
MSTY
Jeffrey,
is doing.
it sounds like you're in the announcer's booth and your phone is down at the pitcher's mound in Dodger Stadium. The amount of echoes and whatnot.
Hey, Lauren, it sounds like you like to interrupt the speaker.
It's one of my favorite things to do,
Actually, let me
actually.
let me see if I could fix this. Like,
Yeah, you got a bad echo.
hold on.
Cosmo, are
Maybe.
you hearing that? It sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I don't hear anything wrong, I'll be
Yeah, I
honest.
think there's
So
something
Oh
wrong in
dear
your head
Lord,
there,
it's
Lauren.
me.
You got an echo
something's
in
wrong
your
with
head.
Lauren.
Hey, Lauren, is this
Oh
better?
my
Is this
God.
a little better, sir?
Oh yeah, that is
Wait,
actually much
that
better.
actually does
Yeah.
sound better to me too, actually.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I just put it in my headphones. It works a little bit better. But what I was saying is like, so the question with this for me is like the example that Dart gave yesterday during the call was that Misty would go out and sell the $310 call option for May, and in return for selling that call option, they would receive like $30 per contract. So essentially, they're collecting $30. Even if the stock goes from 310 to 340, they don't lose any money. But what happens when the stock goes above 340 is now they're in a predicament because they're down. There's no intrinsic value left in that contract, and they're at risk for the stock to go higher. So what they have to do to cap their theoretical unlimited losses is to sell a call option above that so that they can cap their option. But what it really turns out to be is you're risking 2 for 1 in that scenario. So I just feel like it just seems to me there's so much trust built around the model, and there's not enough information on how they're actually using the options market to generate this yield. And as a trader, if I want to do that, I can go out and do it myself. And actually, for anybody who's interested in that, it's not that hard to learn how to use the options market to generate income and to generate a yield. And I'd encourage everybody just to spend a little bit of time understanding the different strikes and calls versus puts, market taking versus market making. Selling a cash secured put is a great way to also generate income, right? Because you're promising to buy the stock at a future date, but you're not actually tying up the capital required to invest in that company at that time. So I just feel like there's a lot of trust that is required. And I'm not interested in Misty. I'd rather just put capital into MicroStrategy.
Yeah, I think to that point, that's the one strategy that actually makes sense to me as a Bitcoiner, a cash secured put, because it's essentially you can, play your games and get some income, but you're essentially promising to buy Bitcoin at a discount, even if it runs under the strike price and you're forced to buy like 5% higher than, 10% from the current price. Like it's still, a good move. And so, I understand like people wanting to like find a way to maybe replace some income so they can do something else, so they can quit their current job and pursue something that's more fulfilling. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's not too hard to learn how to trade options. It is kind of risky, so you have to know, in what positions you're kind of putting yourself in some serious risk. But it's pretty easy to keep yourself relatively safe. You definitely want to practice, right? You'd want to, buy calls, know what that kind of how that, what the theta decay looks like, and try on like a lower scale, and you can move your way up to a point where maybe you're supplementing it. Like you can do 2% a month right now, for a 10% drop on IBIT. You can kind of harvest 2% a month on a promise to buy IBIT in a 10% drop. So, I mean, there are ways that you can do it that makes more sense as like a Bitcoiner, that you don't have to kind of deal with so many unknowns, So yeah, I kind of like what you said there,
Hey,
Teef.
Cosmo, before I kick it back to go to hands, I just wanted to interject also. You could do this stuff on your own and save that 1% or 0.99% fee also. One of the other things I haven't heard brought up yet is the tax implications. And then the third thing that kind of hit me out of all this was it's not coming to me at the moment, but not everybody's in the same situation. Oh, I know it's risk because I think that's one thing that Pink Shirt Guy does is he's determining people's risks. Like how comfortable are you with certain risks? And another thing, as people age and whatnot, your ability to actually earn income changes. And so while we're still living in a fiat world and on a fiat standard, it becomes increasingly more difficult to do things like budget and whatnot when you have more volatility. So I think these are all factors in this equation as well that you guys are doing a great job articulating. I think for me, before I had a call with a trader yesterday, and he was giving me more information on MSTY, and it kind of you guys are saying some of the same things, which for me it was like, oh, hey, they're going to do this for me, and just do these covered calls, blah blah blah, and then I just kind of takes the dummy work out of it for me. But there's a little more to it, and so it's something that I don't think it's wise for any of us to go giving advice, but just throw the facts out there, throw the information out there, and let people make the determination on their own. Back over to either Terrence or Cosmo, because I don't know whose hand was up next.
I think it was Thomas.
Yeah, I was on that call for, I don't know, maybe two plus hours. Where we talked about it, and I've spent a lot of time on looking at the MSTY and posts and stuff. Got a lot of engagement, a lot of interesting feedback from people when I posted sort of the analysis of MSTY versus a buy and hold strategy of just the underlying MSTR. Um, uh, and what I came to learn from that is like I'm not the for me personally, I'm not a big fan of the MSTY, but I understand why people want it. And I came to the conclusion that it's not a binary answer, meaning everyone's situation is different. So, um, what basically MSTY is doing is monetizing vol for income. Now, they charge for that. They have overhead, they have profit, and they have the fee structure. So you're paying someone else to do it, and it's suboptimal if you can do it. Now, could you learn how to do it? Sure. Most people aren't going to do it. I don't mow my lawn. I could mow my lawn, but I don't. I pay someone to do it. And a lot of people just don't want to be bothered. They don't want to spend their time studying the markets. They want to be able to just buy and get that monthly check coming in, even though it's suboptimal. And people who don't want to pay taxes, I get that, but typically people who don't want income have lots of money. But people who don't have lots of money need that monthly income. The taxes to them is inconsequential. They need the money to live. So what I've come to learn is, look, the MSTY it serves a niche market. For me, when I look at it, the sweet spot was the person who is in a fiat job because they need the income. They're not quite ready to quote retire and go do whatever it is their own thing is. And let's just say they're 5 years away. It's possible you can create income by monetizing vol using a product like MSTY to maybe change the algebra of when you might retire, to replace that cash flow to get you to that whatever hump point that you determine. But everyone's situation is different. And I would be careful to say it's no good or it's great. And I would just say the answer is it depends, and everyone's situation is slightly different. This past year, we only have 13 months of history, and it's been a great 13 months. They had close to 200% dividend. I don't know the exact number, but close to 200%. That's incredible. And the price that it's trading at now is the price that it launched at. Now it went up to 45, went down to 16 or something or 17, and is back at 20. But it started at 20 and it's at 20 a year from now, and you probably collected close to $40 in dividends. So that's, people look at that and they're like, I hear all your stuff about risk and all that stuff, but I just got 2x what I put into it. Now I can sell it for what I paid for it. Now that may not continue in the future. In fact, I think it probably won't. But if it does, that's what people are going for. So I would just say it really depends on these things, and that's when you got to really probably seek professional help if you're unsure. But I don't think it's one size fits all.
So, Thomas, if it's about volatility, then are you saying that it will perform best when Bitcoin is going up or going down, but not sideways?
But the analysis I've run, Terrence, is that MSTY is superior to the underlying in a sideways market because you're monetizing vol, and in the sideways market, the underlying is flat. And now what happens is the volatility decays through time, and we're seeing that decay right now.
Yeah, I think it's funny because there's a bunch of retail jumping into it right now. I mean, if you look at the implied volatility on MicroStrategy, we're like at an all-time low. And so it's
Yeah.
funny that there's like a big move to short vol right now when it seems like, at least to me, that the volatility is kind of bottomed out and we're going to start, volatility is going to start ramping up. So I get the MSTY thing. I actually think it's just funny that everybody's jumping on the MSTY train now of all times, but
Well, Cosmo, let's say we go from 300 to 600 by Labor Day, right? A doubling. That would not be out of the realm of possibility. What I would tell you is that holding the underlying will give you a 100% return over that period. I would say that if I had to estimate what the MSTY would give you, it would probably give you 75%. So you're trading the upside on that for income, and taking profits along the way. And so you are leaving a lot on the table if you're net bullish on the underlying. Now, what happens if we go from 300 to 200 between now and Labor Day? Now, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think that's going to happen. But let's just say, for planning, what happens to MSTY? I think if we're going to lose, in that case, you're losing a third of the underlying value. My guess is you probably will have similar performance on MSTY. The price of it will probably go from 20 to 14. So that's probably similar, but you will generate a little bit of income, probably not that much. It's probably not worth the risk. I just think again, I don't have a crystal ball on this. I would just say it just depends on what your objectives are. If you just go through the thought exercise, because people will say, look, okay, I got a decent stack. I'm going to just put 200K in this and buy 10,000 shares. And what does 10,000 shares get you? It gets you something like $15,000 to $25,000 a month. Now, most people, like 95% of the world, will say, shit, I don't care if I have to pay taxes on that or not. I can live on that plus all my other income. I'm going to have a good life, and I can just let the rest of my stuff just sit and ride. I can wait 4 years, 5 years. I don't have to touch it because I've got a nice income stream. Now, will that income stream perpetuate without deviation? Probably. I'm sure we're going to be surprised by some glitches, but that's what the attraction is for people. And I think, again, if you're not in that situation where you need the money because you can work and you have a job, then it's probably not appealing to you. But if you're in that position where you need the money and you don't want to be burning the furniture to heat the house, selling your assets, then this is a cool, interesting way to do it. But I wouldn't interpret what I'm saying as advocacy to buy it. I'm just saying it's worth a review. and everyone's situation is different.
Yeah, the part about this that kind of makes me grind my teeth and ache a little bit is when you see people who are kind of liquidating a large portion of like their sovereignty, the Bitcoin that they hold for, what is it, killing the goose that lays the golden egg or something like that. So they're just going to take it all now and feast on the income instead of like enjoying the sovereignty and the potential future of Bitcoin. And so I think you're right on that point.
Well,
Cosmo,
some
I'm
people.
alarmed that Thomas had cameras in my house this winter watching me. Go ahead, Thomas, sorry.
I would
And then
just
we'll
say,
let Pink Shirt Guy chime in after that.
not everybody is interested in sovereignty or even the concept of it. I mean, I know a lot of
That's
people
a good
are.
point.
So some people just don't care, and if they hear you talking about it, they'll be polite, but they'll just say, "That's a crazy person," right? I just want to live my life, and they view the whole Bitcoin complex as just another asset class for them to invest in. We may view it as a game-changing asset, but not everybody will, and we want to welcome those people because the broader the adoption is for Bitcoin, the better it is for everybody. The network effect of Bitcoin is what drives its value. And so we don't want the Bitcoin ownership to be held in the hands of, as Saylor says pejoratively, the crypto anarchists who have that sovereignty mentality. We want it to be as broad as possible to include retirees at the villages in Florida.
I agree, but I think also on the flip side, greed is fire that feeds on itself. And every time we've had like a Bitcoin bull run, you see the grifters coming in and selling these products and promising yield that they can't deliver. And so, as great as it may be to financialize Bitcoin, I think we still got to remember the greatest risk in financial markets is counterparty risk. And so if you're trusting in someone else to deliver a promise, then that promise may not come true. So just be careful, especially as we enter, the next phase.
Pink Shirt Guy, sorry, I saw
Yeah,
your hand. Go.
no stress. Yeah, Tifa is bang on there, and I like what Thomas said too. I would go a step further and say not only do they not care about sovereignty, they want the opposite. They want somebody else to be in control, and they want to remove that risk of self control or self sovereignty, and that's why I think they're willing to pay that premium. Their danger arises. The premium, I mean, between doing things perfectly yourself and optimizing things yourself and learning how to do them compared to collecting less because you're farming it out to someone else. The problem arises when this idea of ease and convenience gets conflated with risk. And just because something is easy and something's convenient and you're seeing that dividend land in your account does not mean that past performance is any indicator of future returns. And that distinction has to be very clearly made between this is easy and it's low risk. And then just while I have you guys here for the Canadians in the crowd, there was a little bit of not incomplete, I won't say misinformation, but incomplete information in there yesterday. For those of you with tax-free savings accounts, these things are incredible. For our friends south of the border, these are tax advantage accounts where we never pay tax on any gains we make, except from dividends from a United States-based company. So even your TFSAs are going to be subject to tax if you start collecting dividends from MSTY.
That is a very important caveat.
It's not financial advice, folks. It's just facts. He's laying them
That's
out there
just
for you.
facts. Yeah, definitely not financial advice, but if you just go grok it, you can see
Grok it,
very,
everybody.
very quickly. And people, broadly speaking, everybody knows how phenomenal our tax-free savings accounts are. It's absolutely unbelievable. But that's the one asterisk, and I've never heard anyone ever bring it up. But that's the reality of the situation. You can get, I can go 3x or 5x or 10x on my MicroStrategy. But if I start collecting a dividend from a US based company in that tax free account, I have to pay a withholding tax on it.
Boom. I see Joe was losing his damn mind down there, but he's sticking to his guns on not engaging in this. We'll see how long he can listen without just triggering and requesting to jump on stage. And find it entertaining myself. Anyway, I think there are more hands.
We've
Terrence?
got JT's hand has been up.
Hey, what's up? Um, yeah, pink shirt. Nice to hear you today speaking. Really cool background that you have. And Thomas also really enjoyed. I was listening in the space yesterday with Dark and heard your whole explanation back then of the about the use case, and I think you're spot on as well. I have to drop in a minute here, but I just want to get a couple thoughts in. So, and by the way, I'm not an expert on this at all. This is not really my area, but the way I see it is more from a broad view to where I agree with what everyone's saying, and it all comes back to me for use cases. It's all about use cases, and I put a comment in the chat that if you're once you go beyond holding Bitcoin in cold storage, you're just introducing some level of risk, and that's all that we're talking about here. It is just what are the different use cases and the different risk tolerances. And Thomas, to your point, it's just everybody's a little different, and I think we're going to see a proliferation of these kinds of products. And that's what I think Dark was sort of getting at. I was in the room at the end, and that was sort of where it landed, was that, and I agree with Dark. I'm on the same page where, like, I think we're both excited to see all these products, and just like, we're not, I don't think anyone up on the stage here is saying, hey, this is a winner or this is a loser, or you should use this product or you shouldn't use that one. We're all just sort of debating on these things. And for certain people, I think and for certain products, I think there's gonna be markets. We're gonna find product market fit. All these entrepreneurs building things. That's the way I see it. That's my angle. Is always from the entrepreneurial perspective, and that's how, I look at Sailor as an entrepreneur building speculative, innovative financial products that leverage the volatility of this thing called Bitcoin. And that's just one aspect of what Bitcoin does in the entire ecosystem of Bitcoin. But in terms of what we're talking about today, I'm with Terrence. Like Terrence, like I don't research it because I don't go deep, because I'm like, I'm just going to hold my Bitcoin, and I'm going to support the people like Thomas who understands it. Like, I would totally give Thomas, you know, be like, Thomas, what should I do? And just like let him do it. And I'll land the plane with the final point by, I think it was Pink, that some people don't want the sovereignty, and Cosmo, like, I get it. For true Bitcoiners, like, that's the goal, and it's like we get concerned, but there's always going to be a large swath of the market that just wants someone else to handle it for them. So yeah, great conversation today, guys. I'm loving everything that everyone's saying.
Hey, Loaded Node, do you still have a hand up? You did earlier. I
I
don't
can't
hear
hear him.
I can't hear you. Maybe
Loaded Node. You
we'll
might
have
have
to
to drop.
we'll recycle them. Yeah.
Voltron, did you want to chime in? I see you just jumped up here.
Terrence, yeah, how you doing? Can you hear me?
10-4.
Great. Usually I'm just in the weeds in the background and try to get to the spaces when I can. I'm just a lowly physician and been in Bitcoin for a while now. But yeah, I mean, you guys are saying a lot of great things. I was in that Misty space yesterday with Darkside. I was in there for 5 hours. It went on and on and on, but it transformed from Misty to Bitbonds and everything else. But there's again, I think I agree, Thomas. I agree with you. It's a situational thing for everybody. And the thing is that I don't want to do my job, forever. And at some point that I would like to step back and get my time back. I got into Bitcoin to get my time back. I got tired of the government, debasing my money, and basically everything's costing more. And I saw that, and I wanted to get into Bitcoin because of that. And yes, there's a sovereignty aspect of it. There's a whole other aspect of Bitcoin, but I know Bitcoin is solid, and I know it's not going to be debased. And there's only 21 million, and so the thing is that if I can use a product that's built on Bitcoin, but still on the fiat rails, that is going to allow me to play that vol of Bitcoin, built in a company, basically that is ran with strategy, ran on basically Bitcoin runs that company in terms of its, I guess its value, that I could use this product to go ahead and get my time back by investing into this product. Yes, there are risks. It's riskier than investing into Bitcoin, but Bitcoin does have risk. I mean, it's not going to, it's not 100% guaranteed to go up. It's not 100%. We do think it is. It's probable, highly probable, but it's not 100%. There's a risk. There's a risk in any investment you have out there. There's a risk of putting your money in a bank account. There's a risk in all of that. And that's what I'm saying. If I can go ahead and take 10% of whatever I have, maybe 10% of my stocks or something that I have, or my Apple shares or my MicroStrategy shares, and put that into this product, and that allows me to get my time back, that I'm all for that. It allows me to go part-time. I don't have to be, in the ER 4 shifts a week. I can be in the ER 1 shift a week. I can spend more time with my family. That's that I value. And if I'm going to take that small risk, again, not financial advice, it's my own personal opinion. If I'm going to take that small risk to go into this product to get my time back, I think that's an acceptable risk. And if you look at it too, the Yield Max has all of this stuff available online. You can go online and see what their positions are. There is a see-through there. So just saying, again, I'm going to land my plane there, but if I'm going to get my time back, I'm going to invest in this product. Thanks, guys.
Omar.
Hey guys, I think I just need to repeat what I said yesterday in dark space. So a lot of people are investing in MSCR as a derivative to Bitcoin. It's important to note that when you're putting money into MSCY, you're doing absolutely nothing for Bitcoin. You're pretty much investing and putting money into a covered call strategy, and lost my words. um,
Maybe that was the period. I mean, I totally get the sentiment.
Yeah.
no, the phone started ringing, and I'll be right back, guys. Hold on a second.
Nailed it.
Can you put us on speaker, Omar, so we could hear? No.
Hey, I just wanted to add something. I think what Omar is trying to say, because just to be completely transparent, I do hold a little bit of Misty, and yeah, I did not sell any Bitcoin
For
to acquire Misty. Just to make that clear as well. So the way I look at it is this: if you have, Bitcoin in a substantial amount, you can, I guess, take this small risk to just get cash flow to use, for whatever you want. Your monthly expenses, to enjoy life, to take your time back, like what the previous guy said. But if you don't have that much Bitcoin, then I would not recommend doing this, right? I think you should get way more Bitcoin where you feel very comfortable in your position, and then that also will give you the growth that Bitcoin's going to give you in the future. So I think looking at that situation, I don't see it as a bad idea, because the way I'm looking at it, for like say for me right now, is I put a small amount and I'm getting this monthly dividend. And my idea is that it could be within a year or less, I get all my return on investment. I get my 100% of what I put in already back. And then right after that, it's just free flow cash flow. And that's what I'm hoping would happen. Now, the risk is, hey, the value of Misty will go lower. It could go to zero. There could be many things that can happen, but I'm banking on that that's not going to happen, right? So as long as Bitcoin can still be slightly volatile and MicroStrategy is going to be strong in the future, I think this will stick around. And my bet is that I get all of my money back, all right, on an investment, and then every month I just get this additional amount of money, and that would be great. It would be great. So that's why I hold Misty.
Hey, I used to hold Misty 2, and then she broke up with me. Oh, what a beautiful woman. Anyway, sorry to Lotus.
2-drink minimum, everyone.
Well,
Make
hey,
sure
I
and
thought we were
try
gonna,
the calamari on your way out.
guys. Thank you very much. Here all day. I thought we were gonna just practice getting the whiskey and wake thing going for Vegas. Come on now. No, sorry, Loaded. We did recycle you, and I know you've had your hand up, so
Yeah,
apologies. Throw your hand up if you want to get on, and we'll try to make sure we work you into the convo. Go ahead.
yeah. I'm, I'm just appreciative to hear all these different takes about it because you know we're full. This space is full of people just studying finances and money in all different areas, and yeah, there's no real clear move here. I think we're all confused, and what I took from this conversation, just listening since I've had my hand up, is it's a tier thing. You got to be in the spot for this thing to work for you. You got to be at a certain tier of holding Bitcoin than a lot of us are. So if
You have to be at Tao's level, 21
uh,
Bitcoin or larger.
I mean, when we
Tier
move
Tau. Tau
$1,000,
tier.
he's seeing his balance jump a couple million. So I get it. With Tao's situation, yeah, it's serious. I'm just kidding. But thanks, let me talk. But I just appreciate us, just you guys digging through it, man, because I really don't understand it either. And yeah, it seems to me like it's a tiered thing, though. You got to have a lot of Bitcoin for this to benefit you, and not kind of risk screwing something up, with your long term game.
We've got Vinny Bitcoin here, and then Jacob Price joined. Vinny?
Hey, how's everyone doing? Thanks for having me up. Yeah, this whole Misty conversation's been pretty interesting. Was sat in yesterday and hold some myself. Of course, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin. Hold some Bitcoin myself and MSTR. I kind of feel like we're approaching a stage where we're kind of beating the dead horse in a way, but I think the gist of it is it kind of depends on each person's individual situation. I think a lot of people on the space yesterday gave some good examples of use cases of where it would make sense. Like, for example, people were approaching retirement where they just needed some passive income, right? Or there's people that are buying it in like tax advantage accounts such as HSAs or IRAs where, the tax implications wouldn't be as, impactful. I think a lot of it too also depends on your personal belief in Bitcoin and what it's going to do in the future. And then on top of that, MSTR, what you believe that's going to do. And then, of course, there's trust involved in YieldMax and their parent company and whoever's managing those funds. And then what I'm personally very curious about is the long-term viability of these products, right? Like, I I love the idea of having some income given to me every month, but it almost seems too good to be true, right? And I think for me, I'm holding it just to almost like to test it out to see how viable it will be moving forward for, X number of months, X number of years, because ideally, this income stream is going to be a long term thing, but we don't know that, right? So there's that. And then Bitwise also just released a similar product, IMST, which I think is employing a similar like options income generating strategy. And what kind of worries me there is like if more companies kind of come out with similar products, will the market kind of become like oversaturated, and will the income dividends be like less over time and that sort of thing? So that's the part that worries me the most personally in my situation. And yeah, I'd be curious to see if anyone has some thoughts on that as well, or on the IMST product. And I'll stop there. Thanks.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, for people who have not gotten into Misty, stay out of it. I don't want it to be oversaturated.
Should we get into the weeds, guys?
Well,
Just
thank you for calling me up in here. And
yeah.
I am Tao, booking representative for all travels needs, especially Vegas. So give me a shout out. I can give you a discount and get into the clubs there too. But as a
This segment of the episode brought to you by Weeds. We actually take
Weeds.com.
payment in free coupons to
Yes.
club entries and whatnot. So
Yeah.
we'll look you up when we're there. Thank you, sir.
No,
Go
you're
ahead.
welcome. Oh, by the way, Lauren,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
is www.weeds.com bookings for all your perfect
Okay.
experiences. Tau69 is your promo code. But
Thank you.
for some of us, I'm a class of 2024 for Bitcoin, so I'm fresh and new for y'all. I haven't lost my virginity yet, and I have not bought a virgin Bitcoin yet either. So I'm still pending to get that transaction done. But um, I come from the TradeFi world, yeah, the terrible world of terrible human beings, and I've been very strongly against those yield max tools because you all have covered tax implications as they're not dividend, but some people still use dividend. It's like put Bitcoin together with shitcoin. For us, TradeFi people, we get incredibly upset because dividends, are income from a corporation that already had paid taxes and distributed to us the profit. So we go into a different structure of tax brackets, and also too, us dividend holders, we like steady growth dividend, not this roller coaster that you generate out of a cover call tool holding treasury bonds, treasury notes. So it's kind of very weird. And then I did listen to the gentleman with the baseball shirt, Teef. I don't get it. If you have money to if you have some money to buy MSTR, let's say that you buy 100 shares and you spend $313,000 as the current price right now for 100 shares, and you immediately sell, as using your example, TIF, the 320 contracts for May 23rd, you make $2,700. So that's in general income for selling that cover call, not a dividend. And then you have the incredibly large room for they even attempt to call your shares, which 90% of the times they do not call your shares unless you're holding Tesla, Nvidia, or Apple. They're not going to call your MSDR shares because the Michael Saylor is just going to sell more shares in the market, so they don't need your shares. Sorry, as I'm a Canadian, I'll apologize. Sorry, they don't need your shares of MSDRs to complete, an MSDR cover call being exercised by somebody out there in the world. So, which technically speaking, you're doing some sort of a misty play when you could have just done the MSDR and collect 18% in uh, 30 trading days. Does that make sense? Like you get an 18% with the guarantee underlying that you're holding it, yeah, and you don't need to go through this disaster that it is this yield max tools from Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, and MSTR. So that's just the only thing I'm going to say. Thank you.
Can I jump in there because it was brought up what I was talking about.
You
I don't
just
want.
did, Teef.
Okay, cool. I don't want to cut anybody off. I can't see hands, so.
Nope, you just cut everybody off. You're in.
So, yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean by they don't need your shares. But let me just walk you through some technicals on the chart. If you look at the average true range of MicroStrategy, it has a $30 average true range per day. So if you want to, take that bet, because right now MicroStrategy is at 313, and we're talking about the 310 call option. So what you're saying is that
I'll start at 320.
but 320 is only $10 away from the three.
$7 right now. Actually, $6.47.
Yeah, which is less than the average true range. So
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
most
but you
likely
gotta
you
account also for the premium that the market maker just paid you, right? They're not gonna be
sure.
down $27, right? They're not going to. So let me ask you, Tiff, because you say over here that you are an algorithm options traders know yourself honest out. What would be the striking price that they would call my share, sir, if I sell the 320s for 27.10 bid?
So yeah, if you
What would be the MSTR strike price to call my shares away, sir?
so if the underlying equity is above the strike, they'll call your shares away.
Sir, let me just, I'm going to try it again, okay? I sold 320 calls for May 23rd, 2025, okay? For $27.10. What the price of MSTR has to be for the shares to be called away?
So look, if the price is above 320, you're going to get your shares called away.
No, it won't.
Yeah, you will.
No,
Yes, you absolutely will.
No, because you have to consider the 2710 that the market maker paid you, because they're
So
not going
what?
to lose.
Yeah. No,
They're not going to lose
Hey boys,
2710.
I
So
okay,
think
hold on.
I
That
think
is
we're
Might have to pull
guys,
the weeds,
kids,
Lauren.
yeah,
this
we may have to get out of the
whoever
weeds.
okay,
We're
I
kind
just
of
want to
delving
say
into the weeds a little bit too deep
well, no,
here.
because
one
So
quick
we're
thing.
Lauren,
gonna hey
Whoever is
somebody want to mute the room?
no,
Co-host?
Lauren, don't mute, because I think it's important for.
Okay,
No,
there we go.
we really are getting into the weeds. How many times can we use that pun until it's not funny any longer? Not that it was funny ever the first time. No, I think a lot of the time we delve down these rabbit holes, we get negative feedback later from the majority of listeners. So, although a lot of you guys like to get really specific on things, I think for the most part, we try to tie everything back to Bitcoin. And for the most part, most of the listeners are in Bitcoin not to make this kind of return and whatnot. So we want to scratch the surface but not get really deep. You guys should probably have this discussion amongst yourselves and then maybe post it what you've come up with in the side. I'll kick it over to Cosmo. I think you were off mute, or Terrence, if one of you guys wants to maybe channel us into. Maybe we've even beat this one
Yeah, I
a
think we
little
move
much.
on from this
Yeah.
topic. I think it's interesting, and if anybody wants to learn a little bit more about it, I know Dark had a huge space on it yesterday, so you got 5 hours of content you can dive into on that.
Yeah, Dark has also just joined us in case we wanted to put a button on it. And then I see Chorus has his hand up. He forgot to spell it properly, but Dark, did you want to chime in at all? We've been debating. We've basically been debating the summary of
Yeah,
your space yesterday.
I was kind of listening in a little bit. So a couple things. One, just to clarify that if you are short that call at expiration on the Friday preceding the third Saturday of the month, and the call is in the money, they will call away your stock. If I think it's 50 cents in the money, you will automatically be called away. So you won't even have to do anything. Weed is right that you won't get called away early in MicroStrategy because they don't pay a dividend, and the stock is not hard to borrow. And those are the two conditions that would lead to an early exercise of a call. But at expiration, if the call is in the money, it will be called away from you, and you would have to then replace the stock. The one point I want to make on this that we kind of touched on last night, we kind of went over in detail, is the thing Weed's right about is that if you go ahead and just, let's say, buy 100 shares of MicroStrategy, and every month you sell that one call, right? And every month at expiration, you cover the call and sell a new call. The benefit is at the end of the year, after 12 months, the stock you hold is long term capital gains, right? The options income would be short term, but that's way more tax advantage to what Misty's doing. So, for those that really understand actively managed strategies and have the wherewithal to do it, it's a much better deal than MSTY. For those that don't know how to do it, MSTY serves a purpose. So I'll just land the plane there.
Thanks, Dark. Hey, Chorus, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. I'm kind of the type of person where options is the one thing that I do not understand. And I see a lot of these spaces where people talk on and on about it. They're very knowledgeable about it. And I love listening to it because it gets me intrigued to learn more. But is there any way that we can have like a basic, like Dummies 101, like definition and application of how to do an option.
Yeah,
Just
there's a bunch of videos on YouTube that are absolutely fantastic, and I think that Horace, within 30 minutes, you could find a couple of videos that would explain exactly what it means to buy a call, sell covered calls, sell cash secured puts, and there's a lot of good work done on there. And I think it's the visual aspect of this conversation helps a lot because like you heard when those other guys were up here talking about, okay, let's say you have, a strike price at 300, like hearing all this stuff, it's kind of hard to keep track of it, but there's a lot of visual representations of videos on YouTube that are money for this kind of stuff.
right. And it seems like, understanding the stock market is one thing, and you could be great at that and doing predictions and all that stuff. But if you don't understand options, you're missing, I would say, 50% of the story. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm just trying to get someone to be like, okay, well, this is pretty much how it works. On Spaces, who seems like a very knowledgeable at it. So if anyone can chime in and just try to give, like, for someone who doesn't know how to do it,
Hey,
a good,
Chorus,
yeah.
if you guys want, I mean, this isn't my world, but I can tell you the only reason I understand what options are, because I'm not a trader, I'm just a Bitcoiner, is because of my life in Hollywood, and it's identical, and it might help make sense if I just give you the analogy. So in Hollywood, before we make a movie, we have to get a script. And screenplays, good screenplays from good writers or based on IP, are ridiculously expensive. I mean, you can't get a script these days for less than $1 million. But the risk for me to go out and spend $1 million on a writer, especially if he's a newer writer or a writer that's unknown, is hugely risky, because for me to get that, let's say, $30 million movie made, I've got to find a really good director. I've got to cast names. I've got to do pre-sales in foreign markets. I've got to raise all kinds of money and spend years doing all this stuff. So what I want to do, and this is what we call in Hollywood, we option the script. We get an option. Us producers, we never pay $1 million for a screenplay. We pay $5,000. So I pay $5,000, and what I get is the option to buy it for the sales price that we agreed on at $1 million. So for 5,000, I get the option to buy it for $1 million in, say, 12 months. And in 12 months' time, I work my ass off sending the screenplay out to directors, out to actors. Who can I attach? How can I increase this quote unquote package that I know I can then raise the money for? Thus, I will exercise the option and get the million. And what this does is this keeps my competition, other producers in Hollywood, from going and getting this screenplay that I think is going to be really hot. So I've only spent 5,000. And that, in the most basic terms, is really an option. I have the option to buy it at its price in a future date, but I risk way less in case it doesn't pan out. And for most producers in Hollywood, 90% of the time, they're just throwing options at the wall left and right because you just don't know what's going to work. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dark or Cosmo, but that's the only reason I understand in general what an option is in trading.
No,
No, you're right.
I think yeah, that's a good example. The example I like to use is just simply options are insurance. They're insurance policies, right? So if you had a hurricane coming and it was 500 miles offshore and the band was everywhere from Miami up to Jacksonville, right? How much would insurance cost if you wanted to buy it at the time the hurricane's 500 miles offshore? And if you similarly, would you be willing to sell someone homeowners insurance and flood insurance with that hurricane out there, right? So yeah, options are a form of insurance, right? You're insuring, you're collecting a premium if you sell an insurance policy, and if that insurance policy hits, meaning the storm blows over your home, you owe the you're gonna have to buy someone a new home. So that's another good way to look at it. What I would recommend for those that want to learn more about options is go to Khan Academy. There's plenty of content on there. There's options 101 classes. I would also take probability and statistics classes, and I think you'll get your arms around it, if you put in the work. The beautiful thing about Bitcoin, right? This is a proof of work space. So put in the work. It's not as easy as just coming up here and asking us to tell you how to do it. I spent my
Okay.
my entire career was spent learning, and I'm still learning. So yeah, it's not easy.
Doc, can I ask a question really quickly? Is it basically an option is basically you're predicting what the price will be, and then if you're at that number, you get paid for that prediction to be right.
That's a massive oversimplification, right? Like you have to have an understanding of the mechanics. You can't just summarize it with it's a bet, right? Because they are, in some forms they are bets, in other forms they're hedges, in other forms they're risk mitigation tools. So you just have to do the homework. It's just not going to be as easy as trying to figure it out on a space.
And Horace,
Okay.
I put a video in the comments for you, and if anyone wants to go, he's done some good videos that I've seen, and I haven't seen this video in particular, but that might help you out.
All
Hey, I
right.
see.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Dark, and thanks everyone for helping me with that question. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming up, Chorus. I see Sovereign Private Ryan. I don't know if your hand is up, but then District has their hand up.
No, hand.
District.
I was gonna check on the option stuff, but that's fine. Horace, you can DM me if you want to ask me a question. It's fine.
Okay, perfect. Hey, District.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Please don't
hello.
make my
We are
voice.
here.
Hello. Oh, thank you. I just wanted to say this about Bitcoin. When you talk about Bitcoin, you're dealing with head count. Is that fair? Like the right. Okay. So I'm talking real fast. I'm trying because I'm doing a lot of stuff. But I just noticed like certain things. Bitcoin, see you. Bitcoin is a whole trail of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. That is a copyright. It's just like a movement. You got it? All right. Bitcoin is Bitcoin because it's a movement. It's like how do you Bitcoin? That's what I.
Did you, Terrence?
There's nothing wrong
Yep.
there,
Was
but
I'm not sure what was
technical? Was
going. I'm not sure if there was a question or a
I think there was
statement.
some technical difficulties or something because I
Yeah.
don't.
Why don't we go to you,
Know.
Sovereign?
No, that person pops on a bunch of times and trolls. I was just gonna say that.
Who let her up here? Terrence?
I'm not sure.
wasn't me.
Lorenzo.
Wasn't me.
Oh, we know. I'm getting the belt out again, sir. Sorry, Sovereign.
No, I'm just jumping in here.
Did somebody mute the room because I can't hear Sovereign anymore?
So I was starting to talk.
No, I had to remove that blue. What do you call it? Keebler elf or whatever it was.
Smurf.
That was Smurfette, I
Smurf.
believe. I
That's
think
it.
there
Yes.
was one female Smurf, and it was Smurfette. I apologize for knowing that.
Yeah, I think Humble brought her up.
Yeah, I always host
Humble
spaces,
was
so
sending
it's
me
not.
messages of warning on the side, so definitely was not her.
Yeah, I know. But nice try, thanks.
No, I just came up to chat about options if they wanted to, but I don't think we need to keep the conversation on options. And I was just jumping in to listen. Not sure where the conversation was today, but just sitting here watching Bitcoin slide flat, which is boring.
Do you trade IBIT options?
I don't do IBIT options. I have MicroStrategy, and then I just like Dark said, it's sort of my insurance policy. I write mostly monthly call options against those shares. Either keep the capital in cash or I reinvest it.
We're gonna see Bitcoin slide until next Tuesday. You guys can bookmark that. Clip
Why
this.
is it? What's next Tuesday?
Clips this. It's the thinnest part of the cloud. The thinnest part of the Ichimoku cloud. It comes up on Tuesday. And that's when we slide through the cloud.
I see.
Book it.
Ooh, another cloud user. You don't find too many of those.
Wait,
Are you a fellow cloud user? I love that.
Yeah. It's been a long time, so I couldn't, probably figure too much of it out. But heck yeah, man. When I was momentum trading, I use that thing all the time.
Can you guys talk a little bit about that? Because I'm not familiar.
The Ichimoku cloud.
Yeah, we could go into the
Yeah.
TA if you guys want. I don't know how fun that is on a Bitcoin space. It's kind of boring compared to the rest of
Yeah.
Bitcoin, but if that's something we want to talk about.
Lauren, did you leave your space or are you here?
When you say my space, if you're talking about the space between my ears, yes, there is a high probability that I temporarily lapsed from that space. However, I'm back now. So I don't. Did you guys want to get into the cloud, or
Well, the
I mean,
kids
I'm
were
curious.
asking where you
Just
The
wanted to
Google it.
take it next. Yeah, it
Just
says
Google
well, I
Ichimoku
mean,
Cloud and you'll find
uh,
out.
to me, I thought the cloud was like up in the sky where the sun and stuff is, where the data just hangs out. Is
you're
that not the
sounding like the
cloud,
blue
or?
Smurf at the moment.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's so many intriguing topics out there, like including Jerry Powell's comments from yesterday, the
All right,
links
let's
that I
go to
read.
AC. AC jumped up here.
AC,
AC,
please,
can you
sir, get us on
please
track.
save? Yes,
Yeah,
save
save this
Lauren's
space.
rambling.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to be on the space with you yesterday, AC.
AC, that's the cue where you press the bottom left button and say hello.
AC, I think Terrence was hoping you would extend a lifeline to this
It's getting
space
hot in here. We need some AC.
and its hosts. Yeah, ooh, touche. I like that, Cosmo. I'm gonna have another Cosmo just because of that statement. I love it.
Hey, Dark. So let me go to Dark.
Please do.
I obviously I left the space. I was in the car. I couldn't join, but I noticed you went for 5.5 hours, and I think you had like over 12,000 listeners. So clearly, a lot of people were interested. But it looked like you shifted the conversation halfway through over to bit
Dark is
bonds.
on IVs right now and
No, I
taking
want to ask
oxygen
Lauren. I'm
hits
trying
just
to
to
ask Dark a question.
rehydrate. But you
Just
said you want me
again,
to
duct
interrupt you
tape
as
on
much as
that pie
possible
hole.
so we can
Dark,
do
was
the
there any
bits.
great
Okay, boys.
stuff
Okay.
that came out
Thank
of,
you.
thank you, Humble. And when she says, okay, boy, she means shut your trap, Lauren. Dark, was there any good stuff that came out of the bit
Apologies.
bonds yesterday?
You can't unsee them, right? And the more we talk about it, the more you realize that this is coming, whether we like it or not. I think the most interesting data or info that came out of the space was the knock-on effects. Like, what happens if you issue bit bonds? What happens to the rest of the bond market? Does it get absolutely destroyed? The answer is yes. So, what happens to the equity markets? What happens to housing markets? If you can loan the government money at let's just use 12% as some of the estimates out there have projected, then why are you going to buy an equity at 20 times earnings, right? Like that yields, that may do 12%. Like that makes no sense, right? That would suggest that the price of the equity market would be 2 times overvalued. Why would you own a home when the free rate of return on capital is 12%? Unless you believe your home's going to go up more than 12%. And we know that Bitcoin's deflationary. So the bit bonds thing is like one of these things that it's in the wild. I'm not sure you can stop it, but if and when it happens, it's going to have to happen with a massive amount of fiscal stimulus. I don't know if they'd have to just retire all bonds and issue new bonds, bit bonds. Corporations with bonds outstanding would have to retire them and issue new bonds because they would get killed. So it's the idea itself is brilliant. It look all of the knock-on problems to bit bonds is because the debt-based Ponzi scheme is broken, right? Like if there wasn't a debt-based Ponzi scheme, bit bonds would not be a threat to the existing capital markets. But bit bonds are the ultimate threat to the existing capital markets because we have a broken money system, and that gets ultimately exploited in a world with bit bonds. The biggest problem that I see for the government is that these bit bonds can be issued by a private issuer, right? And that forces the government's hand anyway. So I'm not sure once the idea is in the wild, it can be stopped. So I'll land the plane there.
What do you see as the biggest obstacle for moving forward with the bit bonds? Like why are people just still sitting on them? Because they do make sense to me, but I know there's something I'm missing.
Yeah, it's what I just laid out, right? Like it's almost like taking a nuclear bomb into the town square and openly setting it off, right? That's the issue with bit bonds. So I imagine regulators are this isn't lost on them, right? Joe C tweeted today, bit bonds cause more problems than they solve. Arguably true. I'm not sure I disagree with him on that one. They do cause more problems than they solve, but that's not Bitcoin's fault. That's the Federal Reserve's fault, right? And I'm not sure you can stop it once Bitcoin's in the wild as a financial asset, which it is.
Josie and the Pussycats. Vinny, chime in.
Hey, Dark. I think you mentioned this yesterday, but didn't Van Eck kind of propose a plan? And did
Yep.
you look into that, or because it
Yeah,
sounds
it's the same plan that's been out there. Bitcoin Magazine retweeted it. It's just gaining momentum, right?
Yeah, I didn't see anything new.
Yeah,
I read it. It's in the nest right now, Vinny, but it looked the same. But yeah.
Pierre Richard's talking about starting a bit bond company. He wants to do $1 trillion of bit bonds. It's crazy, but I think the demand would be there. That's what's so incredible about this is that look, the Ponzi scheme is about to break, right? Bitcoin's going to break it. Are bit bonds the straw that breaks the camel's back? Could be, but something's going to break the camel's back.
So in my head, like I have been trying to like steel man the argument against bit bonds for a bit, and I'm having a hard time like coming up with much, which I feel like says something. Do you have like a steel man argument against it? Could you like give us something maybe like, even if it's kind of absurd, that would be an argument against bit bonds?
Yeah, it's the argument I just laid out. If you wanted to walk into the town square with a small nuclear bomb, you'd be arrested and the bomb would be seized.
So it'd be like
So
a regulatory thing where like, hey, it's a matter of national security. These can't be issued. This is like a legal thing, something like
yeah,
that.
but again, I'm not sure that stops it. That stops it here. What's stopping another foreign country, a foreign bank, institutions from doing it? I don't see that there's political will out there.
Dark Side's getting a call, everybody. So just hold on tight.
He's being censored.
The 3-letter agencies, man, look out.
Bit bonds are too
Dark,
powerful.
Federal Reserve
it's
System.
confirmation.
Yeah, if I described to you the Federal Reserve System as we have it today, you would laugh at me. Like, my dog's
He's
pissed.
laughing now. There he is now.
Hey, Dark, are you
Josie is
coming
at
to
the
hang
door.
out with us in Vegas, Dark?
I live in
Great
Vegas, so
transition.
Oh,
I will
nice.
definitely be here. I will try to be at all of the events and meet everybody. I'm super excited to put faces to names, and yeah, that's going to
Yeah,
be.
look at his profile. He's the Luxor. He's already there.
Luxor, baby. What a great transition. Maybe we just spend the last few minutes talking about this fun stuff again, and then give everybody a chance to say their goodbyes. We'll actually go around the horn this time. But I know at the beginning of the show, we spent a lot of time. Many of you might think it's useless time, but those of us who are very excited, like Dark, seems really enthusiastic to meet everybody. I have not met Dark in real life, so I'm looking forward to that. Um, but tentatively, we have a plan to meet up folks from this Bitcoin Today community at a sponsored event, so you don't have to pay for a ticket. You probably will have to pay for some drinks because there is a little bit that's going to be contributed towards the bar tab, but not a ton in Vegas terms. So we are it'll be TBD as far as the date and time goes, but we'll probably announce it early next week. I'm excited because we also want to try to keep this time slot going with spaces. So send us feedback if you'll either be there and want to like meet up in real life while the space is going on, or if you're not able to make it to Vegas and still are interested in hearing what's going on. Give us feedback as to what your thoughts, how we should run it. We've expressed everything from sitting around a table like a bunch of dorks, which is not my idea. I think that was Terrence. Anyway, give us feedback and let us know what you want because I'm super excited. Like Dark said, to meet everybody, to put faces to all of these avatars of the people who have not. For example, Cosmo hiding behind that Bitcoin logo and the spaceman suit. I'm excited to take an Uber from the airport because we just found out we're actually getting in at the same time. So super excited about that kind of stuff. But anybody want to chime in on that? If not, we can go around the room and start saying our
Lauren, wouldn't
farewells.
you drive to Vegas? I thought you were super close, no?
I've made that drive a million times, and no, I'm not super close. Unless you're going about 120 through the desert, which I've done many a time, it takes a while. No, I actually have to start by going to Reno first, which is about a 3-hour drive, and then from Reno to Vegas is an adventure. It's apocalyptic. There's a lot of great movie sets. If you're ever interested in some sort of apocalyptic theme, you wouldn't have to change much in some of these little towns you drive through out there because you're just like hear banjo music and see like people with extra appendages and stuff. It's seriously interesting. But no, I will be flying there, sir.
I will say, Lauren, one of the great hidden national parks in this country is on that drive down from Reno to Vegas. It's called Great Basin National Park,
Mm.
host to Lehman Caves, which is a mind-blowing tour that the Park Service offers. You have to take the tour to go into Lehman Caves. But anybody who's ever finds themselves in Reno heading to Vegas, make sure you check out Great Basin National Park. It's one of the country's newest national parks, formed in 1986, but an absolutely amazing place. Incredible hiking. It's just one of my favorite parks in the whole country.
Yeah, there's some exciting things on the drive. Let's not forget the Clown Motel
Yeah,
and
and you
Area
just made my wife
51.
laugh. Yeah, that
Oh,
place
good.
that place freaks us out every time we drive by it.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, the whole drive freaks me out. And I'm not kidding, like literally 120 through there. But you got to go really slow through the towns because they'll get you. I've been pulled over many times taking that drive. But yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think it's Goldsmith where you hit
Oh yeah.
the wild
Yep.
donkeys, and it's just what a wild drive that is.
Yep.
I agree. That's one of my favorites.
You count wild burros because there's wild donkeys out there, and also you count the twisters, the little tiny like seriously every time you encounter these things and you're like, oh, we're about here now, and start counting the wild donkeys,
Yeah.
and oh, there's another twister over there, those little dirt devil kinds, they're all over out there, so it's a wild drive. So Terrence, what do you think? Maybe go around the horn and start wrapping this one.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Why don't we start with you, Teef? What are you bullish about?
That was yesterday. We were able, I think it was Humble that flipped the tables on Ben Sessions. I thought that was hilarious. Well played, Humble.
Well played. But
Oh
now
yeah.
I'm asking Teef. I can that question is reusable. It's a reusable proof
Oh
of work.
No, I
yeah.
think it's trademarked. Actually, I think we have to ask Ben if we can use that question.
Okay. Hey, Teef, what are you super excited about with Bitcoin that's positive and optimistic?
Yes, guys and girls, thanks for having me up again. This is great. Love connecting. I'm bullish about the future of Bitcoin treasury companies. They are going to reshape and redesign Wall Street from within and get back to hard money, sound money standard. So all in all, I'm bullish about those companies. I'm excited and bullish for Ryan Cohen of GameStop to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. I'm looking forward to that. And many more good things coming down the pipe.
How about you, Thomas? Are you still with us or are you tiptoeing in other places?
Nah, no, I'm here listening. I'm double dipping. I'm doing work. I also have stuff to do. I got a pretty busy spring here, so I'm.
You don't just sit on spaces all day? I thought this
I
is work. This is the office. We all show up here and we're all coworkers.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy this. I get a lot out of these spaces. I like to give back as much as I can, but sometimes I do get busy. As a lot of you know, I have a political office as well, and I have the added issue of I have to run in a primary election this June. So I got like 6 weeks, 8 weeks to go for that. That takes a good amount of time, but that's just part of the job there doing that. And it's
Sounds like a lot of things you need to quit.
yeah. Well, I'm
Getting
getting.
in the way of spaces, Thomas.
I know I'm getting long in the tooth doing all this stuff, but I still enjoy doing it. I like engaging. Uh, I'm on the Bitcoin space. I'm very much looking forward to getting out of Vegas and meeting and seeing people and hanging out. That I get a lot out of the social side of it. It's I really got a lot out of Nashville. I'm hoping to do the same in Las Vegas, and I hope we get out of this $84,000 vortex that we seem to be stuck in since March 14th. And
Since Josh Mandel put us there.
I know, and he indicated, that we'll get out of the vortex when we close at 84,000 and MSTR is at 314. So if you know, you know, and hopefully that could happen today. It could happen tomorrow, but we'll hopefully see that out there. I think the energy in Vegas will be awesome if we're in six figures. If if we're pumping along above 100,000, and then obviously if we're in the all-time high space and printing new highs in the days and weeks ahead of that, that would be fantastic. That's all possible. I do think we need a catalyst at the macro level in order to break out of this vortex. And should that catalyst can come from many different angles, but I think right now we're in this this sort of doldrum. And in fact, this community in the broadest sense, and I'm not speaking negatively, but I would say we people get bored when there's not a lot of action, and then you look at different things and do things like play with MSTY or play with options and do things just to maintain some level of excitement. When a lot of times people should probably just embrace patience and just wait and see. We know if you look at this over a 4-year horizon, you're going to do very well. But if you look at it day to day, you might get confused with the volatility in terms of where things are going on a secular basis over the long term.
Sometimes it's best just to go outside and touch grass, right? I mean, that's why I got a 50-foot extension cord and brought my 3 monitors out onto the grass so I could stay on spaces and look at the 5-minute charts.
We're
Yeah, I'm
all
a
a bunch of junkies.
big advocate of getting some morning sun and just during the day. It's a nice day here in central New Jersey. I'm going to go out and sit on the deck and get some more sun. I did that this morning. The days I can do that is a better day than when it's cloudy or cold or rainy and I can't get out. I think us humans are meant to be outside and getting some sun time. So I can appreciate when people live in great climates like California and the Southwest, Florida, et cetera, where they can get sun a lot more. The older I get, the more I appreciate it.
How about you, Vinny Bitcoin? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just appreciate you guys. It's kind of funny you mentioned that we're all kind of like coworkers now. I feel like I sit on these spaces now more than I sit on like my team calls during the day, and you guys kind of have been kind of become my coworkers. I won't be in Vegas this for this Bitcoin conference. I actually discovered I actually just started using X recently, and so it's probably why you guys don't like really recognize me at all. I'm kind of new to the community and hope to get more involved, and you guys are kind of like my shining light now, along with Bitcoin, of course, kind of giving me hope for the future and keeping me going. I'm if I can be vulnerable for a split second, I kind of approaching middle age and just trying to figure out what's next, and so Bitcoin's kind of like my shining light, and yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for sharing, Vinny. Yeah, please join us in the future. It was great hearing from you. How about you, Humble? Any closing thoughts? And
No.
we'll see you in Vegas, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm excited. And I mean, that's it. I'm just thinking about Vegas.
So we'll get to see what you really look like.
Yeah, because you've not seen that before, have you? Oh, anyways,
Sarcasm
yeah.
is my love language.
What's that?
Sarcasm is my love language.
Which was
Yeah.
my sarcasm, not Lauren's. How about
It
you,
was.
Dark? Any
But
closing thoughts?
I understand it though.
I mean, after talking for 5.5 hours yesterday, Dark, I'm shocked that you have any thoughts today.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to mosey my way through and recover my brain. But no, man, I love what was said about this being a community, about coworkers. For me, it's becoming part of a family, and I love these spaces. Yeah, love you guys, man. If no one told you they love you today, I love you. Have an awesome day.
Fucking love you too, Dark.
Man, now you're doing it.
I know I'm being vulnerable as well.
No, Dark is taking my love thing. Like I do it
Oh.
every Sunday. Say you are loved, and now Dark is starting to do it. So that's awesome. We
We're
need
all
more
going to do it.
people.
We're all going to do
Everyone's
it.
loved. We
Except
just have to spread
Cosmo.
the
He
love.
wears the head shield to shield his head from love. How
No.
about you, Cosmo? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I have two. One's real, one's less real. The real thing I'm bullish on is just culture and community. I think that, there's a lot of reasons to be kind of nihilistic, especially as like a Gen Z or a young millennial looking out in the world and kind of seeing the chaos. But I do think that Bitcoin solves a lot of that. And so I'm optimistic on the changes that Bitcoin will make to, I guess, community and love in a broad sense. And then The less serious thing, I'm optimistic about Tuesday, guys. Tuesday is the day we break the 84 curse and we start moving up. You can book it. Unless I'm wrong, then forget I said anything. So
We're at 85 right now, buddy.
hey, we're gonna stay under the cloud. We're staying under the cloud till Tuesday.
All right, back to you, Lauren. Looks like
Hey,
Tao's trying to connect,
can
but
we?
he's coming in too late.
Man, you're gonna cut Tao off?
Well,
That's not good.
he didn't make it in time.
But we said that Tao is our the code word Tao will get us 69% off at the clubs in Las Vegas. Oh, you did cut him off. He's not there.
Okay, hang
Puncher
on.
wants
Tao.
to come in and say goodbye
Oh,
too.
is Puncher here? I
Yeah,
didn't
let's
see
let
him.
Puncher up here.
All right.
Puncher, come up and say a few words, buddy.
The space is really only 10 minutes, but then it's an hour and 45 minutes of saying goodbye.
We can edit the goodbyes out because it's really sad. No, I when Vinny was saying vulnerability, it's crazy because when I look in the mirror, I wonder who this old dude is staring back at me. There he is. He's
Hey,
Puncher. Puncher in the house, everybody. Do you have a
hey,
few parting words
guys.
for the listeners?
Well, against the complaints of my wife, I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of other spaces, a lot of other people like Bo Hines, and I'm hearing there's got to be a lot of lurkers here because I'm hearing like quotes exactly and ideas exactly that we are lucky enough to have time to express here on this space. So I think we're getting, for good, bad, or indifferent, we're getting our message out there. Our ideas are kind of infiltrating the broader ecosphere, and I think it's really cool to see. And it's not like generally, it's like word for word sometimes. So I think it's really cool, and it's such an amazing capability Spaces has that we've taken advantage of to bring just super smart minds, myself excluded, to this, and uh, it's an amazing technology that the information share is almost overwhelming. So I feel really grateful to know you guys, and that's why I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And then our ideas are getting out there, and that's part of like our Bitcoin responsibility. So appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Amen, Puncher. All right, Lauren, back to you. Can you
Oh
close
man,
us out in a nice, efficient, beautiful, high signal way?
I
Probably
don't
not, but
know.
go ahead anyway.
Yeah, it's probably just going to be some ramblings. No, I think one of the things about what Puncher said was message, and I have a message, and my message is love and hope and all the good stuff. Like time. When Vinny was talking about vulnerability, and I just was looking in the mirror, going, "Man, where did the time go? Like it goes by so fast, and your time is the utmost of importance. It's more important than Bitcoin. So." Appreciate your time, appreciate your health, appreciate your loved ones, your kids, your spouse if they're nice, because I've had some not nice spouses. But anyway, no, it really is about that stuff. Tomer was referencing a podcast that we did where we were, I don't know, call it going deep, but just thinking philosophically and thinking about why we're here and whatnot. Bitcoin is just a tool, and it's all about the community, like Cosmo was saying, like about the people. And us people like Peter Schiff don't understand it's the collective will of the people that determine things like value, and that we're winning this. Bitcoin adoption is growing, and that means that the collective will of the people is deciding in real time that they're going to exchange their value in the future using Bitcoin as a standard. And I'm so excited about that. I don't want to get super excited about breaking news and happening just now, but I do read it, and I am hopeful when I do read these things, accounts of, places like that Japanese company adding Bitcoin to their treasury and whatnot. I think it was Jeffrey Teef who said, maybe we'll see GameStop here. It looks like they might be adding. So all of those things are exciting. I just don't want to get all crazy and lose my mind about this stuff. But I just know that every day that goes by is one step closer to us, realizing that Bitcoin is going to be the standard one day. So I'm super bullish and psyched about that. So with that, it's all about the love. I love all of you guys. I'm glad that we can say that because in today's society, it seems weird for some reason to tell people you love them. But I think we need to get back to that. And I think that's the message that I want to give. Let's focus on love. Let's focus on the things that we want in life and not on all of our differences and all the bad stuff, because when we focus on that crap, we get more of it. And I want to focus more on love, and I'm trying to be a better person just in my personal life, in my little ripple, in my kids, in my, you know, life. So with that, I'll stop rambling and kick it back to you, Terrence. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Lauren, have you been speaking the last couple minutes? We haven't been able to hear you.
Sorry, I know I try. I think I realize I talk too much, and so then I try to talk faster just so that I don't talk as long, but still try to squeeze the words in. So apologies.
No, that was great. Thank you so much for hosting the space as always. We have a special guest tomorrow, right, Lauren?
We'd have to ask Puncher because Puncher
It's
is
up to Punchy 75.
Puncher 75, aka Kevin Kelly.
I
Hats off to
will.
you.
I have not heard that Larry's not coming. I'll confirm with him today, but 99% Lawrence Lepard tomorrow. And if he
Lawrence
doesn't come,
Lepard.
then we're gonna we'll pick somebody at random. So everybody bring their A game. You could potentially be the special guest tomorrow if Larry
If he
doesn't
doesn't
show
show,
up.
we'll talk about his small print.
Thomas will be the special guest.
Beautiful.
All right. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, people. Thanks,
See ya.
guys.
Thanks,
Love you all.
guys.